Good morning, Heaven Bound family, and everyone that might be listening. This is Pastor Larry with a moment in the Word. I'd like to dedicate the devotion this morning to a dear friend, family, who right now is going through a time of sorrow as a loved one is approaching death. As I thought about that, I thought of David when David's child died. David for 7 days wept, fasted, refused to eat until the child died. He said he prayed that he thought, but perhaps God might spare the child. But when the child finally died, David washed himself and ordered food. And when asked why he was so sorrowful before the child died, but was ready to eat and go on with life after the child died. And David made the statement, he said, I can't bring him back, but I can go to be with him. I thought of Lazarus in John chapter 11. The entire chapter there is given to the death of Lazarus, Mary and Martha's brother, and the sorrow there. And even Jesus, the shortest verse in the Bible is John 11:35. It says, Jesus, when Jesus saw the people and the sorrow, the weeping, it said Jesus wept. In other words, his heart was with the people and he wept with them, even knowing that in a matter of minutes he would be bringing Lazarus forth from the grave. I was reading about Dr. R.A. Torrey. He and his wife suffered a great tragedy when their 15-year-old daughter Elizabeth was killed in an accident. And as they attended the graveside there, and they lingered there, a rainy, cloudy day, such gloom and sorrow. As they lowered the body into the grave there, Mrs. Torrey said this. She said, I'm so glad that Elizabeth is in heaven and not in that box. Sometimes we wonder why sorrow comes. I was reading a couple of poems that I'd like to share with you this morning. One is by William G. Coleman. He said, until I learned to trust, I never learned to pray, and did not learn to fully trust till sorrow came my way. Until I felt my weaknesses, his strength I never knew, nor dreamed till I was stricken that he could see me through. Who deepest drinks of sorrow, drinks deepest too of grace. He sends the sorrow so he himself can be our hiding place. His heart that seeks our highest good knows well when things annoy. We would not long for heaven if earth held only joy. I apologize for my poor reading of it, but the idea is that, friend, we need sorrow to balance out life, that we might know full joy. Robert Browning Hamilton wrote this. He said, I walked a mile with pleasure. She chatted all the way, but left me none the wiser for all she had to say. I walked a mile with sorrow, and nary word said she, but all the things I learned from her when sorrow walked with me. In John 14 there, Martha, when Jesus came, and Martha or Lazarus had already been 4 days in the grave. Martha said, Lord, if thou had been here, our brother would not have died. Jesus said, your brother will rise again. Martha said, I know he'll rise in the last days in the resurrection. Jesus said, I am. Martha, I am the resurrection and the life. He that believeth in me, though he were dead, yet shall he live. And he that liveth and believeth in me shall never die. Believest thou this? Friend, what comfort we find in God's word concerning sorrow. One of my favorite chapters that I always use when I am honored to perform a funeral service is 2 Corinthians chapter 5. There Paul says, for we know if our earthly house of this tabernacle be dissolved, we have a building, a house of God, not made with hands, eternal in the heavens. If someone you know or someone there that is going through a time of sorrow, perhaps over a loss, or perhaps over a loved one who is departing, take time to comfort them with God's word and encourage them and help them to know that out of the sorrow will come joy. Out of this weakness of this time of struggling will come new strength. And Jesus will be there to help us through whatever trial we might go through. In 1 Corinthians chapter 15, Paul talking about the rapture, talking about the resurrection that's going to come. He says there that, O death, where is thy sting? O grave, where is thy victory? The sting of death is sin. The strength of sin is the law, but thanks be unto God who giveth us the victory. No one cherishes sorrow. But if we get to understand, sorrow is a grace that God uses to prepare us for life, and especially for the life hereafter. I go forth today, and if you find yourself encountering sorrow, I just know that God is wanting to strengthen you, build you up, and make you better. And sorrow is just a tool that he uses to make heaven ever richer. This is Pastor Larry with a moment in the Word. Have a blessed and wonderful day. Go forth, encourage someone, be a blessing today. Hey, it'll bless God. It'll bless those that you bless. And it will bless you. Have a blessed and wonderful Monday, December the 7th,